Why do we have to temperature map cold chain equipment?
Regardless of the country, the average cold room at a country's central level may hold millions of dollars worth of vaccines.
The WHO Effective Vaccine Management (EVM) sets standards for safe vaccine handling and storage to ensure that heat and freezing temperatures do not damage vaccines.
It is required that all vaccine cold and freezer rooms be temperature mapped routinely every 2 years to ensure that all parts of the cold room are suitable and to know if some parts of the premises are not suited for storing vaccines.
When do we have to go through the process of temperature mapping?
The first temperature mapping should take place at the time of the storage unit's commissioning. Temperature mapping should also be performed when the cold and freezer rooms, as well as associated storage units, refrigerators, and freezers, undergo any modifications or major repairs. Temperature mapping is performed when commissioning new equipment after major repair or modifications. Locating the best point for fixing thermostat sensors, particularly for remote temperature monitoring.
Temperature mapping is not limited to cold and freezer rooms. Refrigerators and freezers can also be temperature mapped. Temperature mapping is also required for dry stores as well, where diluents, injection equipment, and other pharmaceuticals are kept.
How temperature mapping can be done. In simple terms, temperature mapping involves fixing 20 sensors inside a cold room and keeping them for a minimum of 48 hours. This is done to record temperatures in regular intervals. Then, collect the sensors, download the recorded data, calculate the mean kinetic temperatures, map the cold room based on the temperatures recorded, and finally, decide whether or not the cold room is suitable for storing vaccines. If the cold room is not suitable, then identify which part of it might expose the vaccines to risk. Now, we are introducing a tool which will help and empower you to make a perfect temperature mapping without going into complicated calculations and without any outside help. Now that you had an overview of the temperature mapping process, the why and when to temperature map, we are going to show you step by step and in detail how temperature mapping can be done. Please be patient and attentive. To start with, the process of temperature mapping, you must prepare in advance a few equipment and items. You must have the following equipment and materials.
One of these 3 types of sensors that are tested and approved by WHO and that are compatible with this application. You need a total of 21.
You should download or receive the temperature mapping application in MS Excel. We are only using a log tag in this training video. If you have the other 2 devices, you can refer to the related pages of the written guide and learn how to configure them for being used in temperature mapping.
If you already have or were provided with LogTag, download only LogTag Analyzer software.
There are 11 steps A to K, but for this video we will go through steps A to I. Select in the down-drop menu the number of each unit: cold room, freezer room, dry store, refrigerator, freezer, to be mapped. The application will generate a source file for each item to be mapped.
Here, for training purposes, we only use one cold room.
The names of these newly generated folders start with a dot at the beginning of the file name.
Be careful. You should not move, open, and use files outside their designated folders. This is very important.
This may take a few minutes to process. Click on the first unit, cold room or equipment, to be temperature mapped. A folder with 2 subfolders and 1 Excel sheet will appear.
Be careful. If this is the first time using this application, a warning message might appear on the screen.
This means that you should first enable macros in the computer before starting to use the application. As to the method, to enable macros differs across operating systems. Instructions to enable macros are provided in detail in several languages in the file Enable Macros.
If you have to enable macros, please pause the video now and enable macros in your PC. If you do not know how to enable macros, refer to Enable Macros file in the Common folder. We are waiting for you to enable macros in your PC.
In this part, you will go with us through 8 steps to complete the temperature mapping measurement form by entering the data for all the required dimensions within the unit to be temperature mapped. That is, a cold room here, for example. This form will be used to transfer the measurements to the application.
You may stop the video now and print the measurement form TM measurement form.xlsx found in the Common Files folder. Take the hard copy with you to the device to be mapped. Start measuring the room from the inside, length, weight, and height. Specify the number of doors, their positions, and their dimensions as shown in the picture in the form. If the unit to be measured has only 1 door, which is the normal case, complete only 1 table. Specify the number and the position of shelves inside the unit to be temperature mapped. Use the instructions provided on pages 7 to 9 of the measurement form and fill in table 5 accordingly. Ignore this step if shelves are not relevant for this exercise or if the unit does not have any shelves.
Now you are going to decide how many sensors we need and where to place them inside the cold room. The number of sensors recording the internal temperatures of the equipment to be mapped depends on the size of the equipment to be mapped. WHO recommends 20 compulsory sensors for cold rooms and freezer rooms. In this case, 12 sensors are placed in 12 fixed positions. Do not reduce the number of fixed sensors, nor change their positions. 28 optional sensors can be placed in positions of your choice. Position the optional sensors where you think it is important to record temperatures, or you suspect the temperature is outside of the safe range. In other words, you should place the optional sensors in critical locations. Once the decision is made as to where to place the optional sensors, take the coordinates of each of the sensors based on the instructions given in the measurement form and complete Table 11. Check the completed measurement form and see whether any item or measurement has been left out. Once you are satisfied that all the information is collected and the related tables are completed, proceed to the next step. Now we are moving to the next step, which is preparation of the application for this test. Open the folder TM Cold Room 1, created in the previous section. Now, we are explaining how to complete in 2 simple steps the general information about the cold room to be tested. 1. In this folder, there are 2 subfolders and 1 file. Click on Cold Room 1.xlsm and wait for the application to be ready. From the main menu, click on Storage Specifications. Note that cells with yellow background are mandatory fields that must be completed. The cells with white background are optional. Complete the information in cells C3 and D11. Once you select the storage room or equipment, type C3, then C4 and C5 will automatically be specified. If you select between +2 degrees to +8 degrees Celsius in C3, 2 and 8 will automatically appear in C4 and C5 as the lower and the upper alert range respectively. Similarly, if you select below 0 Celsius in C3, then -25 and -15 will appear in C4 and C5 respectively. A similar situation occurs when dry store at ambient temperatures is selected. In this case, 5 and 32 will appear in C4 and C5 respectively. Note that if you select between +2 to +8 Celsius in C3, you can only select either cold room or refrigerator in D3. Similarly, if you select below 0 C, that is Celsius, in C3, you can only select either freezer room or freezer. However, if you select at ambient temperatures in C3, you have only one choice in D3, and that is dry store. If you do not know the date in which the equipment was installed, select Not Known in C10. The numbers in the pictures are examples. In cells C13, C14, and C15, specify the number of doors, number of shelves, and the number of cooling units. Note that if the storage unit is a dry store, ambient temperatures, the drop box in cell C14 will be disabled, and you will see 0 in this box. Then, enter information in cells C19 to C21 by referring to the first part of the measurement form. Note that the unit of measurement is in meter, and these are compulsory fields, yellow background. The gross volume, cell C23, is the product of the multiplication of the 3 dimensions entered in cells C19, C20, and C21. Net volume, cell C24, depends on the number of shelves, the distance between them, and their dimensions, length and width. These dimensions are specified in sheet Shelves, cells D13 to D64. If in Shelves, C3 is 0, means no shelves. The net volume is estimated using grossing factors, which are based on WHO recommendation. Grossing factor increases with the size of the equipment. Then, go back to the main menu and select Doors Specifications. In this sheet, transfer information related to doors from the measurement form to cells D9 to D11. A diagram will appear in which the doors will move to the correct position in both the horizontal drawing and the 3-dimensional drawing. Use the option in cell E7, E13, or E19 to specify the position of the door or doors. The key Get Real Position allows you to reposition the doors. When you click on this key, a message will appear. Please select a door for relocation. Place the cursor on the Relocate on Plan and click on it. Once you click on Relocate on Plan next to the door for which you would like to obtain its real position, click on Get Real Positions. A message will appear showing the dimensions of the selected door. When you click on Relocate on Plan, the door on the horizontal plane will be highlighted and can be moved horizontally to the left or to the right. Once the desired location is determined, click on Get Real Positions or on Draw Plan. Once the data for all doors is entered, click on Back to Main Menu or go Evaporators Specifications Step 3 sheet.
In Evaporators sheet in cell C3, you will see the number of evaporators inside the storage unit. Transfer the data from the measurement form to cells D13 to D18 in the Evaporators sheet for the first evaporator. Continue transferring the locations and the dimensions of the other evaporators accordingly from pages 4 to 6 of the measurement form. Once the data transfer is complete, click on Back to Main Menu. Then, go to Shelf Specifications, Shelves, Step 4 Sheet. Examine page 7 of the measurement form for the way shelves are numbered. Note that the number of options for shelves locations and dimensions are equal to the numbers specified in cell C15 on the room sheet. See instructions and illustrations on page 7 in measurement form. Transfer the data from pages 8 and 9 of the measurement form to cells in column D. Once the data transfer is complete, click Back to Main Menu.
Now we go to Test Sheet, and in C16, we will specify the number of sensors. You have option from 12 to 40 sensors. Sensors numbered 1 to 12 are fixed at 3 specific levels in each of the 4 corners of the storage unit to be mapped. Selecting 12 indicates that you do not require additional sensors over the minimum mandatory 12 sensors placed in fixed positions. You have the option of adding up to 28 additional or optional sensors. If this is the case, select amongst one of the numbers 13 to 40 in cell C16 in Test Sheet. Then we go to Sensor Sheet and record the specific positions coordinates of optional sensors placed within the storage unit by transferring data from page 11 of the measurement form to cells C72 to C209, depending on the number of sensors. Click on Draw Plan to see whether or not the optional sensors are in the correct positions. The position of the optional sensors will move on both the horizontal and vertical planes in the 3-dimensional drawing. Once the transfer of the data from the measurement form is completed, click on Back to Main Menu.
Now, click on the Test Information button. In Test Sheet, go to cells E5, F5, G5, I5, and J5 to specify the start date of the test. Once the start date and hours are specified, go to E6, F6, G6, I6, and J6 to specify the end date of the test. Note that you can always come back and modify both start and end dates. The accurate specification of start and end dates and times is very important. They should match the exact dates and times of the readings of the sensors. An error message will appear if they do not match. This section describes how to prepare and configure the temperature recording sensors required for recording internal temperatures of different areas inside the storage unit for at least 48 hours. Number each of the sensors from 1 to 20 or a higher number up to 40. Mark one extra sensor, number 21, for measuring the ambient temperature.
In this training, we show you how to prepare and configure log tag. If you are using other sensors, please refer to Temperature Mapping Guide. Download the log tag analyzer as we already discussed it earlier. Open the log tag analyzer software after downloading it. It usually, not always, should be installed at the following address: C:/program files/logtag recorders/logtag analyzer. We are waiting for you to download the software if you have not already downloaded it. To open the program, go to C:/program files/logtag recorders/logtag analyzer and click on logtaganalyzer.exe. A shortcut icon can be placed on the computer's desktop. Connect the logtag interface to the computer on which you downloaded the application. Insert sensor number 1 into the logtag interface. Insert it such that the 3 connection circles are in contact with 3 connection spheres inside the groove of the interface. This window will open. Let the application complete reading and connecting to sensor 1. Click on Log Tag on the main menu and select Profile. The window Configuration Profiles will open, as you can see. If this is the first time using the logtag analyzer, the box may be empty as you see. To select the correct profile file, click on Browse key on the lower right corner of Profile File window, as I am showing it to you now. Logtag profiles are located in the Common Files folder. In Common Files folder, select profile_logtag.1tp files and click on Open key. Logtag profile will be added to list of available profiles. Select this profile from the list and click on Configure Logger key. The configuration process for sensor 1 is now complete. The configuration is successfully completed, and the sensor is ready for use once the 2 LEDs on the sensor blink. Although the sensor is ready for use, it will not detect and record temperatures until the sensor's Start button has been pushed. You will also see this later. This profile will configure the sensor for the following specifications. The sensor will not record temperatures until 20 minutes after the Start button is pushed. The sensor records temperatures at a regular 10-minute interval. The temperature recording duration is 3 days, 72 hours, providing a maximum of 432 readings over 3 days' time. This is important to remember. You should only use the profile provided for this application. Do not change the profile. Any change to the profile may disrupt the application's functionality, and you may not be able to obtain a report or a correct and accurate result. Insert sensor number 2 and repeat above all the actions described earlier by clicking on the Again key. You do not have to repeat the other steps. Repeat the same action for the remaining sensors, including the one for measuring and recording the ambient temperature. After you finish configuring all the sensors, stack them as shown in the picture, with the first 12 sensors in 4 stacks of 3 sensors each as follows. Sensors 1 to 3 together. Sensors 4 to 6 together. Sensors 7 to 9 together. And sensors 10 to 12 together. Then, stack sensors 13 to 20 together. One of the sensors, probably sensors number 21, if 21 sensors are used, is for recording ambient temperatures. Keep it separate from the other sensors but make sure it has been configured like the other sensors.
In this section, we will explain positioning for the sensors in the correct locations inside the storage unit to be temperature mapped. You remember that we prepared and configured sensors earlier. Once the sensors and the application are prepared, the sensors can be positioned in their assigned place inside the storage unit where the temperature mapping will take place. There are 12 sensors in fixed positions, up to 28 optional sensors which can be placed anywhere inside the storage unit, and 1 sensor for measuring and recording ambient temperatures. Firstly, let us talk about the 12 sensors to be placed in fixed positions. Go back to the measurement form prepared for this cold room. Show the measurement form. See the height of the storage unit as was recorded in Table 2 in the measurement form. Divide the height in 2 and note the result. For this example, the height is 2.2 meters. We have to put the right figure here as we measured in previous sequences. We are placing sensor number 2 in the front left corner attached to the wall at mid-height of the storage unit. Then, we place sensor 1 in the front left corner on the floor or attached to the wall close to the floor. Then, we place sensor number 3 in the front left corner attached to the wall close to the ceiling. We place sensor number 5 at mid-height in the rear left corner at the same level as sensor number 2. We place sensor number 4 in the rear left corner on the floor or attached to the wall close to the floor. Then, we place sensor number 6 in the rear left corner attached to the wall close to the ceiling. We place sensor number 8 at mid-height in the rear right corner at the same level as sensors number 2 and 5. Now, we place sensor number 7 in the rear right corner on the floor or attached to the wall close to the floor. Place sensor number 9 in the rear right corner attached to the wall close to the ceiling. And similarly, we place sensor number 11 at mid-height in the front right corner. As the last step for positioning of 12 sensors in fixed locations, we place sensor number 10 in the front right corner on the floor or attached to the wall close to the floor. Place sensor number 12 in the front right corner attached to the wall close to the ceiling. It is very important that the 12 fixed sensors are in their correct positions in the unit's 4 corners at the correct level: floor, mid-height, and roof.
Place the rest of the sensors, numbers 13 to 40, for this training example, 8 more sensors, on the shelves. We have to see whether the cold room we are filming has shelves or not, or whether you think risk zones might exist inside this cold room. The definition of risk zones varies depending on the type of storage unit and the nature of the items to be stored in the storage unit. If you are temperature mapping a cold room for storing freeze-sensitive vaccines, the risk zones are areas where the temperatures are below +2 degrees Celsius, and those areas where the temperatures are above +8 Celsius. If the equipment is a freezer, the risk areas are where temperatures are above -10 degrees Celsius. For the dry stores, all areas where the temperature is below +5 degrees Celsius and above +35 degrees Celsius are inappropriate areas for storing pharmaceutical items and diluents. Therefore, the place for the rest of the sensors will change depending on the conditions explained above. Close the door and leave the sensors inside the cold room for 48 hours, the minimum period of time for temperature mapping, or for a longer time, but not longer than 72 hours. For the log tag sensor, do not forget to push the Start button on each sensor once all sensors are in their correct positions, holding the button for a few seconds. This is an important step and can easily be forgotten. Put a highly visible sign in an appropriate language on the door. See Annex 3, Signed sample for temperature mapping. Now that all 20 sensors are placed in their correct positions, place the last sensor for recording the ambient temperatures outside the cold room. Now you should wait for a minimum of 48 hours before removing the sensors and downloading the recorded data to the application. We go to Common File folder. Double-click on option_logtag.asxml file. The data from the logtag sensors are downloaded after clicking on this file. We connect the logtag interface to the computer, as we did earlier for the configuration of the sensors. Then, we open the logtag analyzer application. We insert sensor number 1 in the interface. As you see, the graph of the temperature reading appears. On the main menu, we click on File, and we select Save As. When the Save As window opens, we go to Documents, Temperature Mapping, TM Cold Room 1, Device Outputs, and click on the relevant folder related to the sensor number. Once the file is saved, we click on Logtag and select Hibernate. F5. This turns off the sensor and deletes all temperature readings. You will not be able to retrieve the data if they are not saved. We repeat all the steps for each sensor removed from the cold room, including the sensor for the measuring and recording ambient temperatures. For example, we have 20 sensors, and we will repeat the steps 20 more times. Now, we will bring the file to the application. We open the Excel file for coldroom1.xlsm. From the main menu, we go to Sheet Logged Data. We will click on Import Data. Now we will bring the file to the application. We open the Excel file for the cold-room1.xlsm. You see that the table Recoded Temperatures for each sensor will be filled with the required information from recorded temperatures. All the information is automatically extracted from all sensor files in the Device Outputs folder. Do not change this folder's name. If any of the cells in the table in the data sheet are empty, movement of the cursor on the screen, this means you have some problems. The data should be cleared before repeating the previous steps to determine what might have gone wrong. Once the problem is solved, repeat all the steps. This information in this table in logged data sheet is very important, since the information will be extracted to the report sheet, which is the basis for decision making. Important note: anytime you change the start date and/or the end dates on the main page, the data should be re-imported. Once we are satisfied with the data imported from the sensor's temperature readings, go to the main menu and click on Sketch, or directly go to Sketch Sheet. As you see, any of the sensors recorded any mean kinetic temperatures above the higher defined limit, the color of the sensor on the sketch will turn to red. If any of the sensors recorded mean kinetic temperatures below the lower defined limit, the color will turn to blue.
We are now at the next to final stage of the process of temperature mapping. The report sheet is protected. We will examine all the information provided in the report sheet. As seen from the report, the temperature-mapped cold room is suitable for vaccine storage. We present another example of temperature-mapped cold room where there are places that are not suitable for vaccine storage. And as seen from this report, the areas indicated by sensors 4 and 10 are not suitable for storing measles-containing vaccines. We have learned that the temperature mapping process enables us to identify which parts of the cold room are suitable for storing vaccines and which are not. Once you review the temperature mapping report for this particular cold room, follow this chart to make a correct and informed decision.